Hello, movie friends. Welcome back to the show. This is Anthony.
And this is James. Today we're going to do an actor spotlight on Jonah Hill. And this has been heavily requested. We have been huge fans of Jonah Hill for a long time. He's one of those rare actors who, was typecast in comedy for so long, but really managed to transition to an excellent dramatic actor now.
He was also typecast as a sidekick.
Yeah.
He was like Seth Rogen's sidekick half the time. And, he's part of the Judd Apatow crew. People, I think, didn't see how talented he was. He wasn't given an opportunity to really stretch his acting wings until like the last 10 years or so, especially working with Scorsese and with Bennett Miller. And he really has become one of the most talented actors working today. I am so excited every time he has a movie coming out. I'm looking forward to his new film, Don't Look Up, and I think that he is an excellent entertainer.
Yeah, you bring up Seth Rogen. Obviously, we're going to have to talk about him for sure on this episode because I think a lot of people lump them in not just into the same category, but like as the same character and same person, like same roles. Like, oh, it's another version of Seth Rogen, or Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen. They're like the same person, interchangeable in movie roles. And I think that I'm sure that Seth Rogen's a nice guy and they have a great friendship outside of the off sets and everything.
They were best friends earlier in the careers.
But it seems like Jonah never wanted to have that persona on him permanently, and he always was waiting for the opportunity to just go in a different direction and become a dramatic actor, and he just kind of paid his dues for so long and just waited for the opportunities to finally come.
But also, it was difficult for him for a long time, and he's spoken out about having serious body issues because people were always like calling him the fat guy in Hollywood or like that big actor, and like he had this identity that the public just put onto him. And he went through trials and tribulations in his personal life, and it really had negative impacts on his confidence. And now he's great with his confidence. He's all about body positivity, and he helps people. He online, have you seen his social media? He's very encouraging to people who are getting bullied because he was bullied for so long in Hollywood, and I think that he's really turned his career around. And I think people really adore him. Every time we post any kind of content related to Jonah Hill, it always does really well. So I think a lot of young people are really into him.
He seems super likable, seems like such a genuine, nice guy. And I think that what you're talking about, like in terms of being typecast in Bollywood, like you can see that in just interviews for like press junkets I've seen of him where people are asking like incredibly offensive questions to him. And it's just like, he's a human being. Like these are just characters in movies, this isn't who he is. And you're just kind of insulting him to his face, thinking that just because for a long time, the characters he was playing, he was just stuck playing like the butt of the jokes, like the walking joke in a lot of these films. Like he had a lot of small parts on pretty funny movies, but he was always a walking joke character. There's like he's in a scene, he's like in the background, or he jumps in and out of a scene just to say a couple funny lines, or like his character is the joke of the movie or the joke of the scene.
40-Year-Old Virgin, Grandma's Boy, Accepted are basic examples of that, where he's just there to get laughed at.
Even what's the one with Aldo Rain? What's his name? Russell Brand.
Yeah.
What's that?
Get Him to the Greek.
Get him to the Greek. The one.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah. Same thing. He's in a few scenes, and I'm sure that's where they got the idea. The studios like Russell Brand and Jonah Hill go well together because they have a bunch of scenes together. But still, he's the butt of every joke. His character is the joke.
I think the worst example is Accepted with Justin Long, his film. Because Jonah Hill's character, they have him dress up in these stupid outfits. He really is the entire film just getting laughed at by the audience. And it's honestly sad to see nowadays because clearly out of that cast, he is by far, with not even close, the most talented actor in that entire film set.
And successful.
Exactly. And so it's great that he's rebounded so much and has risen so far in Hollywood to gain the respect of film audiences everywhere. And I'm sure he looks back at roles like Accepted, like that was like I had a miserable time doing that, I'm sure. You know what I mean? But now he is a leading actor and he's dominating, honestly.
Yeah, and that's why we're excited to talk about it, because in terms of career transformation, I don't think you could find anyone quite with the trajectory that Jonah Hill's had over the last 15 years and what he's done in his career compared to what he was doing when he started. But before we continue, we have some announcements, actually. So this is my final week at my day job. I'm leaving on Wednesday is my last day at work. I put my 2 weeks in 2 weeks ago, obviously. And this is only, thanks for the claps, Anthony. This is only possible because of everyone's amazing support on Patreon. Becoming patrons is amazing to the show. It's the best way to support us. But people just tuning into the show, using our coupon codes with our sponsors and everything, that's all super helpful for us locking down deals and contracts and and just anyone tuning in around the world, wherever you watch on TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube. It's just, we're so grateful for the support. And, this is only going to make us work harder. But, me and Anthony have been grinding for 16 months. I've been putting in 100-hour weeks for a long time, working 2 jobs basically. So it's nice to hit this goal, but really it's only possible because of everyone who's listening right now. So thank you so much.
We appreciate y'all so much.
And Anthony and I also have another bit of news. We are launching a podcast masterclass. It's an online course. It'll be launched in November. So for anyone who wants to start a podcast or wants to improve their current podcast, our 22-chapter course will give you all the secrets behind the scenes of our show. We go in depth on everything you could imagine or even never thought of that goes into a podcast.
It's 5 hours worth of video content where we are telling you everything we learned along the way from start to now of making a podcast and making it successful.
Yeah, we're really excited. So hopefully you guys are into it and download it, because I think it's really going to be a game changer for some of you. And also, last bit of news, last one, I promise. We also want to thank Muggsy Jeans for sending us a few pairs of their shockingly comfortable jeans. I'm not kidding, fellas. If you're like me, you got these big thighs and no jeans that you've ever owned have fit you correctly. No leg room. Get on Muggsy now. You can literally do deadlifts with these things on. They're like, I don't know if they're sweatpants or jeans.
It's like if sweatpants and jeans made a baby.
Yeah.
They're so soft and they're so like you can squat with these jeans on, and they'll be skinny jeans, but then you can squat and they're just still nice and loose.
Incredible. They're
amazing.
Incredible. So thanks, Muggsy, for those.
And today is the very special day of launching a new merch item. If you're looking at YouTube, you'll see that I'm wearing this very cool Raiders of the Lost podcast hat made in the Star Wars font. We're making these in hats and beanies. These are only available if you follow the link on Instagram. I made a post on Instagram of these hats. So again, follow that link, head on over to our merch site and buy yours today.
All right, let's get back to Jonah Hill and his incredible career transformation. So we've seen actors do it before who are comedic actors who, dabble in dramatic roles like Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler, Jim Carrey. They're great comedic actors and, they do excellent jobs with their dramatic films. Like, I think Will Ferrell is an underrated dramatic actor. I think Stranger Than Fiction's phenomenal. And obviously Adam Sandler with Uncut Gems, Punch Drunk Love is so good. And then Jim Carrey, obviously, so many great dramatic performances. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies of all time.
Truman Show.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing with Jonah Hill is he did it a little differently. He's kind of, I would say, like more of a Robin Williams category. Maybe not a huge global name like Robin Williams in terms of being a star, but like from going straight comedy to just transitioning seamlessly into the dramatic world of Hollywood and being accepted pretty much immediately once he got a good movie in.
What's interesting about Jonah Hill's career is he's never been like the solo lead of a movie still to this day. He's always been either a co-lead or a supporting actor, even with his most successful roles. So there is something that he hasn't quite dabbled in, being the lone lead actor, and so I think that's what makes him different from Robin Williams.
I never thought of that.
Where he was Robin was always leading movies on his own. You know what I mean? Where as Jonah Hill, as amazing as he is, he still does co-lead movies. He's never like 21 Jump Street. It's a co-lead. Wolf of Wall Street. He's supporting. This Is the End. Supporting. True Story. It's a co-lead with James Franco. You could say True Story might be his first leading role, because I believe he gets more screen time than James Franco in that. And still, that's 2015 after he's been nominated for 2 Oscars. So I think and even Maniac, he was the co-lead of the Cary Fukunaga's TV show with Emma Stone. So they both shared that. So he hasn't fully led a movie by himself as a lead actor. So I think that definitely separates him from someone like Robin Williams, who was able to make the transition more easily and quicker because of how much of a star he was.
Yeah, but Robin Williams, much bigger star than Jonah Hill. Not that Jonah Hill is not a star, but like Robin Williams is a super movie star at his time.
Yeah, he's a generational talent. Yeah.
But I also love Jonah. That doesn't bother me at all, Jonah. I think he plays to his strengths. Maybe he knows that he's not meant to be a leading man yet, or maybe he's just waiting for the right project.
He might not carry box office weight is what it is.
Yeah.
Because even get him to the Greek, Marlon, what's his name?
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand is the lead. Jonah Hill may have more screen time, but Russell Brand is the star of that movie. He's on the the cover of the posters. Like, he was the Billings, like they used Russell Brand to sell that movie.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's actually true. Like, you don't say, like, oh, we're going to see the Jonah Hill movie. We're going to see the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. We're going to see the Brad Pitt Moneyball movie.
Yeah,
but
not a knock on him.
Yeah, it doesn't stop him from creating one of the most truly iconic characters in Martin Scorsese's filmography with Donnie in The Wolf of Wall Street. That's like a classic character now.
Yeah.
You know, he did such a great job with Donnie. It's like Henry Hill and Jimmy Conway in Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Like, he's in that category of great character in Scorsese's world.
And Jordan Belfort is a fascinating character, but you watch that movie and you're like, Donnie is the
Steals
best.
the scenes.
He steals every scene he's in. He's the best part.
Benihana's.
And what's so cool about that character is Jonah Hill and Leo DiCaprio has confirmed this in interviews. I'm not making this up. DiCaprio said the movie wasn't supposed to be that funny, but in the early days of filming, Jonah Hill was infusing so much improvisation, so much comedy, and trying out so much improvisational humor that Scorsese and DiCaprio embraced it. And DiCaprio said Jonah Hill set the tone for what the movie ended up becoming with the humor.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I knew that he was improvising on set in terms of setting the tone, because that movie is very funny.
Yeah.
Even Jordan Belfort's line, and Leo's hilarious in that movie too, but
Yeah.
every scene Donnie's in, every bit of dialogue cracks me up. He's so good in it.
A lot of people don't know, but Scorsese actually encourages his actors to improvise a lot.
Yeah, big time for sure.
And so what happened was, I think a lot of people in the first half of Jonah Hill's career so far, they saw him as like a one-trick pony. You know, he's the goofy sidekick to laugh at. And that's
Typecast super early.
Typecast. It was unfortunate because he's clearly extremely talented, but comedy really set him in. You know, I mean, he was extremely funny in even the small roles he had. Very talented guy, and I guarantee, you know, Judd Apatow, he is the reason why a lot of those guys ended up becoming successful. You know, like Jay Baruchel, like Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, like all these guys being monstrous successes because, you know, Judd Apatow wanted them in his movies. He kept producing their films. He directed some of their films and was always putting them in his films. Like even Jonah Hill's small bit in 40-Year-Old Virgin, I'm sure he cast Jonah Hill because, you know, he was already familiar with Seth Rogen and those guys.
It's a funny goldfish boot scene.
And I think those guys, to Judd Apatow, they're like him. You know what I mean? I think he really relates to that crew.
Saw himself in them,
and that's why he was always putting them in his movies.
Plus, Seth worked with him on Freaks and Geeks, so he knew Seth had like something. There was something there with him and Franco as well, so that's why he kept working with them as well. And yeah, he was typecast so early, always as like the loud, fast-talking, quirky but funny character. Again, just like always, a walking joke. But, you know, it's a blessing and a curse. Yes, it's amazing to be working on films, and, you know, it's a luxury, and I'm sure he was very grateful to have these small roles, but it comes to a point where he wants to follow his true passion, and I'm so glad that he was patient with it. And eventually, you know, Moneyball is probably the movie that changed his career trajectory forever, because that was the first time ever in his career he wasn't doing a comedy bit. He wasn't doing a comedy character. There are funny moments in the film. Even his character makes you laugh a few times, but it isn't from him doing a bit. It's just his dialogue of the character, and that's why it's funny. But that's the first movie where, oh, he's a great dramatic actor, gets an Oscar nomination, and he's sharing screen time with Brad Pitt, one of the best ever.
Yeah, and it's Bennett Miller as the director. He had just come off of Capote and got nominated for Best Director, Best Picture, and Hoffman had one actor for that film, so clearly he knows his actors.
And a Sorkin script too, Aaron Sorkin.
Exactly. And I think though that's the second most important film for him. I think the first most important film for Jonah was Superbad. You know, that was a gigantic success. He is the best part of that movie.
He's really good in that movie.
He's the funniest part of that movie. If it was just Michael Cera and like a less talented actor, that movie wouldn't work. It works because of how funny Jonah is in that movie.
But it's not just he's funny. He's killing it in that movie. Like, his acting is phenomenal in that role.
Yeah, he's excellent. So Superbad was number one, and then Moneyball was the second big one because he got the Oscar nomination. He's in a Bennett Miller movie with Brad Pitt, blah, blah, blah. But I think the most important role for Jonah was Wolf of Wall Street. Because even though he got nominated in Moneyball, that movie, not many people saw it. And I think it still flew under the radar in terms of, hey, Jonah Hill's an Oscar-nominated actor.
I still think a lot of people haven't seen it in general. It's a great movie.
Yeah, and with The Wolf of Wall Street, that became a cultural sensation that year, and still is. I mean, people are still talking about the movie. It's on TikTok all the time. You know, people love posting about it. It's a beloved movie, and Jonah Hill really stole the show during that film, and it changed the way, because in Moneyball, it's a good performance, but it's not like he stands out.
Brad Pitt is the superstar in that movie.
Yeah.
He's still like it's the Brad Pitt show, but he's there and he's doing great dialogue and lines and acting.
Yeah, and he's good in it, but like honestly, I'll be like, I mean, I could see him getting nominated, but maybe it was a bad year for supporting actors that year. You know what I mean? But with Wolf of Wall Street, he really transcended the picture, and I think he should have won Best Supporting Actor. I think it's one of the best performances of the last decade. It's really incredible, the humor, the accent, the entire persona that he built. It's one of my favorite characters of all time. And what he did with that was really revolutionary for his career. And then now, after Wolf, people took him even more seriously. Like Jonah Hill can do anything after that.
And he's homies with Leo and just worked on Scorsese's project for 6 months. So now he's in the door. You know, I'm not going to, actually, I almost spoiled my intermission pop quiz question. Yeah, I almost said it.
You did that already like a month ago.
Yeah, but he goes from comedy star to 2-time Academy Award nominated actor, working now with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. That's insane compared to 15 years ago what he was doing. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and what I really like about him is he still, you know, does the comedy. He still sticks to his old crew. Like he did Sausage Party with that crew, and
plus a bunch of little small roles, like The Beach Bum. He's like this weird, crazy Floridian gangster kind of guy. It's like on the golf course with McConaughey.
Yeah, but it's Harmony Korine, so I'm sure you can't pass up the opportunity to work with him. He's a big fan of his, so I do still like that he keeps an eclectic filmography.
And the thing with his current comedies that he's been doing compared to his early comedies, like we said earlier, most of those roles, he's like the walking joke. But then when he got into like the bigger budget comedies, like Get Him to the Greek.
21 Jump Street?
No. Get Him to the Greek, and then The Sitter. This is before that.
Okay.
So, and he's still doing these comedies that it's not, you can tell it's not what he wants to do. He doesn't really have any passion in those roles. They're kind of just like flat characters. He's not the star, like you said. It's really, those kids are the funny part of The Sitter for the most part, and then it's Russell Brand's movie and Get Him to the Greek.
He's like chasing the lead characters around.
Yeah.
He's babysitting in both movies.
Yeah, exactly. But then now that he's gotten, you know, power in his career in terms of decision making, and compared to things like 21 Jump Street, where he's part of the creative vision of that movie. He wrote the story and wrote the characters with his co-writer, and his passion compared to doing The Sitter or Get Him to the Greek, and then you watch 21 Jump Street, it's night and day difference in terms of how much he's putting into the role.
Yeah, exactly. And also with 21 Jump Street, that franchise, like he's the producer of it. You know, he used his power to get it made. He helped with the story. He's the lead. So he built that franchise, even though, I mean, yes, it was a franchise, but he built the new franchise from the leg up with that team. You know, he's part of the actual production of it.
Yeah, so how about we go through his filmography?
Let's do it, man.
Of Jonah Hill. So let's start back in, well, let's see. He was born in 1983 in Los Angeles, California, to Sharon Feldstein, a fashion designer and costume stylist, and Richard Feldstein, a tour accountant for Guns N' Roses, which is pretty cool. And obviously, we all know his sister, Beanie Feldstein, is a tremendous actress. She was in Lady Bird. She's in Booksmart. She plays Monica Lewinsky in that TV series now. And his brother is also a music manager. And so basically, his career started in 2004. He was in I Heart Huckabees, and then he was in NYPD Blue. But then,
well, in I Heart Huckabees, small role. It's David O. Russell's film.
Mm-hmm. And then 2005, he's in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, which is one of the funniest movies made this century. He only has, I think, just that one scene where he's the guy going to the eBay store. No, we sell your stuff on eBay store, and he wants the goldfish boots. He's like, yeah, these boots are great. I just really want them. And she's like, you have to buy them online, and I'll ship it to you. He's like, yeah, but can't I just take them right now?
He's like, I really love to just give you money so I can get home and wear these. I don't understand why you're making it so difficult.
So it's funny. It's a good scene.
I love that scene. Yeah. It's so funny.
It's super funny.
And Catherine Keener is really great with it too, because she does comedy well, and them going back and forth because it's
like 2 minutes.
It's like the most ridiculous shoes. It's like a fish. There's a goldfish in them. It's just so.
But they're like their boots like up to your knees.
It's like Jonah Hill's buying these.
He's like, I just want to go home and wear them. Yeah, they're terrific.
I don't understand why I can't just take these home right now.
So 40-Year-Old Virgin, obviously.
That store is actually based on a real store that Judd Apatow had seen in real life.
We sell your stuff on eBay?
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, so someone actually did that for a store in real life.
That must have happened every day. People are like, can't I just take this home? No, I got to ship it to you. It's going to take 7 days.
It's going to cost you an extra $16.
And the FedEx guy might steal it from you on the way and tape it back up.
That happened to us last week.
Yeah. So 40-year-old virgin, obviously just one scene, iconic.
Great scene,
We'll
though.
have to talk about that movie.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about a lot of these more in depth. 2006, he was in Grandma's Boy, which I think is a very underrated comedy. This movie is hysterical, especially when we
watched it a lot when we were younger.
16-year-old. We used to watch this all the time when we were kids. When we were little 16-year-old stoners. We loved Grandma's Boy. This movie is hysterical.
Don't listen, Mom.
And but this was. She's definitely listening. But this was, again, early role. He's just in a couple scenes. He's like a side character for comedic relief. Again, a walking joke. Like, it is what it is, the movie role.
I honestly forget he's even in the movie sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's just kind of in the corner.
Yeah, like when I was doing research, I was like, oh yeah, he's in Grandma's Boy.
Because there's the crew, the main crew, which he's a part of, but like he's not one of the characters speaking.
He's not one.
Of the time.
Yeah, he's not one of the leads.
Yeah.
And clearly, he's the most talented actor there. All Sandler's friends.
And then in 2006, he was in Click, and he plays Ben at 17 years old in that film. Just a small role, nothing to write home about. And then
people love that movie.
In 2006, he was also in Accepted. So Accepted, it's a pretty funny movie. It's not amazing. Again, his character though, it's just kind of forgettable. Like you said, he dresses up and they put him in a hot dog suit and like just running ridiculous dialogue.
He's like, ask me about my wiener.
He's just, that was the trailer. Him just acting like a buffoon, which I'm sure, again, it's a blessing to be in a film, but he doesn't want to get typecast with doing this forever.
Yeah, he was the butt of the jokes oftentimes in that film, and I don't think it's that great of a comedy. There's some funny bits, but I never really found it that funny. And seeing that, it was kind of embarrassing for Jonah Hill, like the stuff that was happening. I'm sure he got paid. I'm sure, he's in a big movie. It wasn't successful, but it's still a big movie. But I think that, clearly they chose the wrong person to lead that film.
I mean,
they tried to make Justin Long a leading star, but he just didn't have it.
I like Justin Long, but I don't think he's a leading man. Like, I think my favorite Justin Long movie would probably be Drag Me to Hell. I think that's my favorite Justin Long movie, and he's the supporting actor in that film. The woman who plays his girlfriend's the lead actress. And so I think that's like the perfect amount of Justin Long in a movie, is just like a supporting character rather than a lead.
Yeah, his last lead, I believe, was Tusk.
Yeah, and that movie's wild.
Yeah, that movie's good because of what happens to him. But I just think that, Justin Long doesn't have the leading man quality.
Not that he's not a solid actor.
He's great in supporting cast. Like, he's awesome in Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah, he's hysterical in that movie.
Yeah,
so he has a niche. And so I think that, Jonah obviously had a better career for sure. And then in 2006, he was also in 10 Diamonds or Less. 2007, he was in Rocket Science, another small role. But then in 2007, he was also in Knocked Up. And so this was maybe this is the best movie he'd been in up to this point. Knocked Up's a really good comedy. It's great. I like it a lot. And his character, again, part of the crew, but he definitely has more dialogue. And
it's more than 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, and it's you can tell he's got like his energy, and he seems to be improvising and like putting his own fusion into the comedy rather than just reading the script.
He's like, Spider-Man 3's on in 5 minutes.
Mr. Skin
just got back from Half-Blood Prince.
What'd you say? He's like, I didn't go to Harvard just to work for every day for the rest of my life. He's like, I thought you went to like a state university. He's like, I went where I went.
So yeah, he's definitely Judd Apatow embraced his personality and his natural humor. You could tell all those guys were just riffing most of the time. It must have been a fun set to be around. And, that's the first movie where you saw like that Apatow crew, the biggest formation of it up to that point.
And that movie is funny.
It's very funny.
And they're so great when they're riffing back and forth. He actually had a huge year in 2007.
Knocked Up had one of the best posters ever.
Oh, yeah, it's really good.
Seth Rogen, like that surprised face with the yellow light poster behind him. It's like, what if this guy got you pregnant?
It's just like him and his curly hair.
He's like,
I love that
great
movie.
Poster.
It's really good.
But also the 40-Year-Old Virgin poster is great, where Steve Carell's just like looking up to the camera,
super
like
smiley, with like the glow, the halo over behind him.
Yeah, it looks like a serial killer trying to blend in.
Well, that's the movie like we talked about, where The Office season 2, Michael's character completely changed because of the success of 40-Year-Old Virgin. So they kind of made Michael very similar to the character in Andy and 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, they basically stole the personality of Andy and infused it into season 2 Michael.
Yeah, but instead of being a virgin, Michael Scott has had sex with like 2 women at his age 40, rather than
it's true,
rather than 0 women at 40. So basically, if Andy had sex twice, that's Michael Scott.
When I was 16, I was terrified that I would be a 40-year-old virgin. Like that movie, whenever I thought of it, I was like, I hope that doesn't happen to me. I don't want to be like that. Please don't let me be a 40-year-old virgin.
Hey, I mean, you still only have 9 years left, so I'm sure it'll happen.
There's plenty of time.
I'm sure it'll happen before then, man. We got 9 years. We'll hop on Tinder for you. We'll make you a profile.
There's a lucky lady out there.
You got your mustard shirt on. You look great, so I'm sure we can make it happen.
I certainly hope so.
That's the second joke you walked into today. The other one was not on camera, but it was a lot better than that.
That was good, man. That was very good.
You set me up, man. You throw me a meatball. I'm gonna knock it over the monster in left field, kid.
Oh man, that was funny.
But yeah, Knocked Up, we all know, is a great movie, and like the start of Apatow's dramedy style, which I really like. And then Evan Almighty, he was also in, but he's just a small role in this. This is a butt of the joke kind of character. Just has a couple lines in random scenes here and there.
I'm sure Steve got him the role, maybe.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure he shot this around the same time as 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up. And he also, 2007, dropped Superbad.
Yeah.
Now, Superbad is probably like a top 5 high school movie for us, and we've seen this movie, like, we used to watch this a lot when we were kids.
But we snuck in. We saw this movie with our friends, and it was rated R. We were like, what, 16, 17?
Yeah, 16.
Yeah, so we were not. I think we tricked one of our friends' parents into letting us go together to see it.
And Jonah is so good in this movie. He's just like carrying. Not that Michael Cera isn't great, but he seems to be carrying this entire film. Like,
I agree.
Seth is the best character in the movie for sure. And obviously Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, they wrote this when they were in high school, right? And then Evan Goldberg or someone else directed. I can't remember who it was.
It's, what's his name? He did Adventureland. I can't remember his name.
But this was a great movie. You know, this kind of...
Greg Motola.
Yeah, this was like a new... You're welcome.
It always comes to me.
This is like a new era of high school comedy, and I think this kind of just set the stage of films to come.
Well, we talked about this a few months ago, and I think the biggest difference between Superbad and other comedies, because, you know, there are plenty of raunchy comedies, you know, Not Another Teen Movie, a bunch of, like, American Pie. But this one was different because those were raunchy of young boys. And, you know, young boys have dirty minds.
Vulgar.
Yeah, very vulgar. Like, we were always swearing. And
all kinds of boys, even nerdy boys, athletic boys, like jockey boys, were all vulgar.
Like, the opening of the movie is them on the phone talking about a porn subscription. Talking about the pros and cons of one. I'm not going to get too explicit. But, like, this is how, like, young boys talk. This is how 16-year-old boys talk. You know, and I had never seen that in a movie. And just like, you know, the vulgarity, just like constantly swearing, constantly like, talking shit. Like, it's so funny and so realistic and authentic. And had never been done before. And I think that's why Superbad was so different from any other teen comedy that came before it.
Yeah, and it's just telling the story of two teenagers trying to lose their virginity, which we'd seen so many times in high school films, but like in a very funny way, a very realistic way. We all related to these characters, I'm sure, especially Anthony now that he's a 31-year-old virgin. But we quote this movie all the time.
Still do.
Like random stuff like like the tiramisu scene we quote all the time. The
good shit Hamaroki.
Yeah. Fuck it, last week, I'm just drilling holes. Like, this movie we've seen so many times, and it's still
Enjoy
funny.
your remaining years.
Enjoy fucking Jules. We can do the whole movie. It's amazing. And then Seth Rogen comes in, Bill Hader comes in this role as the cops and everything after McLovin gets punched in the face. I mean, McLovin is an iconic character. He's like, the character of McLovin is as big as the movie Superbad, if not bigger.
I feel like young people don't have comedies like this anymore. Like, when this came out, we were referencing this. Everyone was referencing it at school.
Yeah.
We were all quoting it.
It's a phenomenon in
like,
high
we
school.
were all talking movie quotes of Superbad and Anchorman all the time.
People think that Squid Game was big. Superbad was big when we were in high school.
Yeah.
We were the perfect age for it.
Yeah, for people our age. And it was just like the entire like dick drawing bit was ridiculous.
You hit Becca with your dick?
This movie is just so good. The first 30 minutes is just one of the best first acts ever. It's so hysterical, and I just love the setup. I love the characters, and it really feels like these are high schoolers. You know, it's not a bunch of 35-year-olds playing high schoolers. Like that new movie, Dear Evan Hansen, that just came out. they like the guy. I'm sure he's a great actor and everything, but he looks like he's 40 and he's playing a 16-year-old. It's like, come on. But these guys and these girls, they look like they're actually high schoolers.
Yeah, they're in their early 20s, obviously. But Michael Cera still looks like he's 17 years old, so it's fine. It works. It plays well. But I think that the thing about Superbad, why it was so important, because not only did it put him on the map and a household name for people like 35 or under, that was probably the demographic for Superbad and who went to go see it. So word of mouth, everyone knew who Jonah Hill was kind of overnight with this film. But also, I think because it's so funny because the filmmakers like Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and they made a movie that they wanted to make with their humor, their style of humor. And I'm sure Jonah Hill looked at the experience, and while he was doing it, is like, I could do this someday, or this is the kind of comedy I want to keep doing. And I'm sure that if he wasn't in this movie, he wouldn't have the career he had now, and he probably wouldn't have made his movie mid-90s in terms of, I can actually make a movie in the way I want to do it, because there's no way, like most studios probably passed on this script in terms of the vulgarity of it, and there's probably like 100 F-bombs in this. And
No. This had no problem getting made because it was produced by Judd Apatow.
Okay, I'm just talking out of my my rear end.
Judd
right
Apatow
now.
had 2 big hits with 4-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up, and so he could pretty much do whatever he wanted.
All right, so back to what I was originally saying with
sorry to destroy you.
No, I'm glad you fact checked me, because someone would be like, oh, actually, Judd Apatow produced that film.
Judd Apatow said it was the easiest film ever made.
It only cost $17 to make Superbad, so it was totally fine getting made. So going back to, in terms of not that, but making a movie the way you want to make it.
Well, for me, I would say that after working with great directors like Scorsese and Bennett Miller and Cary Fukunaga, that really inspired him. He learned the actual craft of great filmmaking from them.
No, yeah, I'm learning the craft, but also being on the set, I'm sure
Yeah.
like I could do something that just I want to do.
I bet he was like, I could do something better.
Probably because mid-90s is a really cool film. The way he shot it and made it, the tone, it seems like something that it's like kind of taking a shot in the dark on,
Mm-hmm.
All right, but Superbad, we have to do a solo episode on that someday.
Yeah.
We could talk about it forever. He also had an uncredited role in Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story in 2007. So that's like 5 films that came out in 2007.
It's a big year for him.
2008, he was in Strange Wilderness, Horton Hears a Who, and then Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So Strange Wilderness, I thought it was okay. Like, I think the trailer for that film was a lot funnier than the actual movie was.
It's pretty good, but it's nothing memorable.
But like the best jokes were in the trailer. Like I think the best joke was the painted eyes on the guy with his eyes closed. Like
and that was the only funny part of the movie, honestly.
Yeah, and that was so the trailer, I think, on that movie looked a lot funnier. And this was his first time voicing a film with Horton Hears a Who. He plays Tommy. But then Forgetting Sarah Marshall, this is a really good comedy. I think Russell Brand's great in it, and then Frozen. What's her name?
Which one? Mila Kunis?
No,
Kristen Bell?
Kristen Bell, Mila Kunis, and then Jason Segel.
Yeah.
It's a great
Segel. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I
I
got
almost
it.
mixed up with Sudeikis.
Hey, it's okay. I think this is a really funny movie. I like it a lot.
It's great.
It's kind of like a new take on the rom-com.
Jason Segel actually wrote it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He also, I think he wrote the Dracula musical at the end too.
Yeah.
That's super funny.
He also wrote the Muppets movies, the new ones.
You're right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's a very talented actor, and he loves musicals, and he was a huge fan of the Muppets, so that's why he made the films.
That's right. Yeah. So I think he's Jason Segel's awesome. He's great in How I Met Your Mother. I loved that show. I watched every episode of it, and so I think watching him, he's the lead of a movie for the first time. I think with this movie, and I think he did a tremendous job.
I love this movie. I think it's awesome. It's a great breakup movie, and Russell Brand, I think this is his best film to see. His personality. He's obviously a lot different now, but back then, Russell Brand had a couple of years where he was a huge superstar,
rock star.
Yeah, internationally, like everywhere, because he is great. He had great stand up, and he had a few really good string of movies. So he was on top of Hollywood for a few years, and
he's nice on the eyes too.
Yeah. He's very funny. He's a handsome guy. He's an interesting look, so I think a lot of people are drawn to him. But I think that this is his best performance,
probably. But overall, just his best film I think he's been in as well. But Jonah Hill, kind of just a side character. He plays this dude who's like obsessed with Aldo.
Yeah,
is that his
the waiter.
Yeah, so and he's like always like in scenes just to like be awkward towards him. So butt of the joke, walking joke kind of character in this film, but more screen time probably than the other ones he'd been in.
You could say that he could have even filmed this like
in just a couple days.
Yeah, just maybe not even a week. So I'm sure it was a nice paycheck and just a few days of work, probably.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad job.
So then 2000, and he's also in Just Add Water in 2008. In 2009, he was in Tim and Eric Awesome Show, Reno 911, Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian, an uncredited security guard. And then 2009, he was in He actually voiced someone on The Simpsons. He was in The Invention of Lying.
That's a good movie. That's a very good movie.
And then Funny People in 2009, which is an exceptional comedy. You could even just say that movie's kind of a straight-up drama at times, too.
Yeah, it's a great Judd Apatow film. I think that it's a little misunderstood with what Judd Apatow was trying to do. I think a lot of people walked into that movie thinking he was like knocked up in 40-Year-Old Virgin and stuff like that, whereas Judd Apatow was trying to mix it up and trying to make a film that was a little more emotional and had a heartbeat. I think he did a great job with it.
I think some people the runtime might be too long for them because it is a pretty long movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like 2.5 hours long or something like that, but it's very funny, and we love when Adam does dramatic roles. He's such a talented actor, and this is kind of like, you could say, Knocked Up 2.0 for The Crew in terms of them all being in an ensemble together. We have another few characters as well thrown into the mix. But, Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill are kind of very similar characters again, just like in all the other movies they've been together in, where they're kind of these comedians who are just competing for jokes to be writing for Adam Sandler's character, who basically plays himself in a sense in the movie.
Yeah, essentially. And I think it's very much Judd Apatow uses his own life as inspiration as well.
Yeah. I like this movie a lot because it seems really realistic.
Eminem's great in it.
Yeah.
What are you looking at, Ray? Ray Romano.
Oh, yeah, Ray Romano. He's like, hey, Marshall, you want to take a picture? He's like, I can't go anywhere. Can't go to Walmart. Can't go to Kmart. It's over. And he's like, you had an out. You could have died. You had an out. Like, I'm stuck here.
And then The Invention of Lying is a really good movie. It was written and stars Ricky Gervais. And it's really cool. It's set in this world where lying isn't a thing. Nobody ever lies. Everybody tells the truth. And Ricky Gervais's character discovers lying on his own. It's like a light bulb moment for him. And then he starts lying to everyone, and everyone thinks that everything he says is the truth. So he becomes like a powerful figure, a very influential figure. It even gets people to do what he wants by lying to them. Really, really smart script. And Jonah Hill had a small role as Frank in it.
I like this movie. It's pretty funny. I think like the first act, is the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like doing like the inventing lying, you could say, or he's the only one who woke up and he knows how to lie. But I think it peters out a little bit towards the end. But I think it's still a pretty damn funny movie.
Yeah, it's a great concept.
And then 2010, he was in Cyrus, which is pretty good. This was probably you could say maybe his biggest role in terms
as
of
an actor
screen time.
Yeah,
because he's kind of like a co-lead going.
He's a title character.
Yeah, going alongside with John C. Reilly and Marissa Tomei. So he's in a lot of this movie. So in terms of screen time, it's got to be his at that point his biggest film.
And this is the first time he got to do something very different. He plays like there's just a weird guy that he still hasn't left home, and he makes like the weirdest music. He's just a strange kid, you know what I mean? It's very funny.
The scene where he's playing the DJ music for John C. Reilly the first time, like the facial expressions are it's pretty good.
It's so funny.
But he went for it. I like it.
He did something very different.
Yeah, and him and John C. Reilly are great together, and John's a great actor. We love him too.
And Marissa is awesome.
So yeah, it's a great cast. It's a good little comedy. The filming is different. It's kind of like Parks and Rec style, or like lots of zooms and stuff like that.
Yeah, handheld.
So if you're into that, it's a little jarring sometimes, but you get used to it. And then also 2010, he was in How to Train Your Dragon. He voiced Snotlout, iconic character Snotlout. We all know, we all love Snotlout.
He's very arrogant, very cocky, very funny though. He was born too small, and he tries to act tough and tries to act like the baddest Viking alive. It's pretty funny.
And then Get Him to the Greek in 2010. Probably his biggest movie in terms of like for co-lead in this movie, or maybe even the lead character almost in kind of like a big budget comedy.
I would say he's the lead, but still Russell Brand's the star.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So
P. Diddy has a great scene in this about the shoes. He's like,
oh yeah, because he's talking about how he needs money.
Yeah. So funny. But the movie as a whole is pretty underwhelming. It has funny bits, but ultimately kind of teeters out.
How about we head on into our intermission now?
Sounds good, bud.
All right, let's begin with our movie quote competition. Now, I have one from a fan. This is from Anton Broadberry, who's an awesome fan and also a patron. We love you, Anton.
What's up, Anton?
All right, let's see if you can get this. I got to keep them cooled out. I got to keep you people happy. And I got to have the ideas. I got to do it all alone.
Oh, I feel like I watched this recently.
Did you? I think it was on Netflix for a while.
Say it again.
I got to keep the people... I got to keep them cooled out. I got to keep you people happy. I got to have all the ideas, and I got to do it all alone.
Oh, man, I'm going to hate myself.
Let me try to do another impression. I got to keep them cooled out. I gotta keep. Nah, it doesn't work because it was when he was young.
It's Dog Day Afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I figured that would help you a little
Yeah,
bit.
it helped. I was thinking it was.
You do a better Pacino than me. But this is before his Pacino like iconic raspy voice.
Yeah, it was before he lost his voice.
This is a phenomenal movie. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Dog Day Afternoon. Put on your watch list ASAP.
I was thinking someone on like a crew or a film set or something. So I was thinking movies, but then that makes total sense. So that's what he's saying to the people inside of the bank who are complaining.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my quote. True love is hard to find. Sometimes you think you have true love, and then you catch the early flight home from San Diego, and a couple of nude people jump out of your bathroom blindfolded like a goddamn magic show, ready to double team your girlfriend.
Oh my God, what is this? What is this? Hold on, hold on. Old school.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that movie. Nice one.
That's a good quote.
That's Luke Wilson's character, yeah. Oh, I haven't seen that in years.
It's a great movie.
What a classic. Will
So
Ferrell, man. That was like the start of Will Ferrell's comedy
Vince
in
Vaughn.
film. Yeah. Man. Love that. All right, guess this movie release year. Footloose.
Footloose came out in, I want to say, excuse me, 1985.
84.
Oh,
Pretty close, man. Pretty close. Kevin Bacon would be disappointed.
oh
in
man.
you.
Shit.
Hopefully he doesn't listen to the show.
He's a patron.
Imagine. He's only a $2 patron.
He can afford the 10. We know he can. All right, here's my. Once Bitten. When did it come out? That's the Jim Carrey vampire movie. Once Bitten.
1995.
85.
85. That was way off.
Remember you had that big year 94?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, got it wrong. All right, 1 for 2. Movie pop quiz time. How many times has Jonah Hill hosted SNL?
4 times.
5.
Damn it. Damn.
That's a lot.
Yeah. He's great with comedy, man.
I think his first one was 2008, I believe, was the first time he hosted.
Wow. Here's my quiz question. What was Todd Phillips' first feature film?
Oh, what the hell did he do before Hangover? Let's see.
You don't know what he did before The Hangover?
I'm blanking, all right? You know, people blank sometimes.
Okay, he did Old School before Hangover.
Yeah, I know.
But this is before Old School.
Yeah,
I know. Okay.
I don't know.
Road Trip.
Oh,
Sean William
I
Scott.
almost said Eurotrip.
Yeah,
I
almost.
was like
It
in my
would've
head,
been
it
close.
was like one of those Eurotrip comedies or road trip
So
comedies.
it's that one with Breckenmeyer, Sean William Scott. He
Yeah.
actually accidentally sends her like something in the mail. I can't remember. It's something.
It's a videotape.
Yeah, it's a
of-
sex tape.
Is it a sex tape?
Yeah, to the girl he has a crush on. Accidentally sends it to her in the mail, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Funny parts. That was a funny movie when I was a teenager.
Yeah, it was funny.
I don't know if it would hold up today. All right. Biggest hater of the week. Who you got? You got a real hater or fake
I
ones?
got a real hater.
I actually have a real one too. So we posted a clip about Beetlejuice about how Michael Keaton came up with the character on his own after getting the information from Tim Burton how he wanted to play it. And then someone just left a comment saying, "Can't believe this man has never won an Oscar," something like that. And then someone wrote 2 comments calling him out saying, "Wow, how dumb are you? He just won one a few years ago." So we don't like bullying in our comments. So I called him out and made a great video making fun of him. Not meanly, but, you know, just proving him wrong. And Michael Keaton has never won an Oscar. So it's kind of ridiculous that this person thought that he was right without Googling it, called someone else dumb who was correct. It's ridiculous. You know, keep the positivity in the comments, people. And we will always back up our supporters and followers. We got your backs.
I think Petty James is everyone's favorite James.
Dude, that was a good video.
It's funny. All right, here's a really funny hater. So I posted a clip of Shawshank Redemption today, talking about Andy Dufresne's plan. Nice little TikTok clip.
Spoiler.
And then Bob Bop 3 commented, "IMAX. Be sure to see this in IMAX. Most immersive IMAX you'll ever IMAX see IMAX. Stephen King had IMAX in mind when he wrote Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption. IMAX. So immersive."
Wow.
So clearly making fun of us promoting IMAX, which is our job.
For Dune.
Yeah.
Because that movie was incredible for Dune. It was made, I mean, hey, you know what? You want to be a cynical person?
I was like, dude, you hate us. How
Really?
much
Does
space
he follow us too?
No, he didn't follow us.
We're inside that guy's head all the time.
He's thinking about us all day today.
I like it, man.
I almost responded and I said, we take up way too much time and space in your head, but I was like, he doesn't even deserve a response.
We honestly don't even respond to people like that anymore. Not anymore.
I'm done with responding. No more.
Like, wow, we made one video saying go see Dune in IMAX because, you know what? We've probably had 150 comments or messages and people reaching out to us in the last week saying that they saw Dune in IMAX and they're so grateful they did. Like, and they thanked us for suggesting us and pushing them to go do that and see it in that kind of theater because it was an amazing experience. So, you know what? If you had a goddamn movie podcast guy and IMAX reached out to you, you're like, hey, man, can we sponsor you? I'm sure you would say go to IMAX too as well, but you don't have a goddamn movie podcast. You're sitting in your mother's basement. You're on TikTok making fun of people who make TikTok content. So, you know what? Have a lovely life.
Once again, Petty James is the best James.
Well, that's ranting James.
And then I have unsubscribed hater. On our episode of Silence of the Lambs, Mickey99 wrote, love you guys. Best movie podcast ever. Can't handle it. Unsubscribed.
That's cute.
Thanks, Mickey.
That's it. All right, we have a couple of great supporters for this episode, our top ones. So we have Micah and Gabe Caldwell. These two dudes, the boys.
They're all twins.
They're also identical twins. Homies, they say they're our top fans, so we totally believe them because they both got one of our custom movie posters from movieposters.com, which was so awesome of the Caldwells. So, homies, thanks so much for supporting us. And,
those posters look awesome.
We love when the boys reach out to us, and, it's so cool. They sent us a pic holding up our posters. So, Micah and Gabe, you two are the best. Talk to you later. All right, on this day in film and TV history, today's November 1st. In 1611, Shakespeare's romantic comedy play Tempest is first presented.
Oh, wow.
It was in IMAX.
That's so immersive.
In 1967, Cool Hand Luke was released.
Cool.
And in 1997, Titanic premiered. And my streaming recommendation for this episode is Train to Busan, which is on Amazon Prime. It is an excellent zombie movie from South Korea.
My streaming recommendation is Thank You for Smoking, which is also on Amazon Prime, directed by Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son, who made Ghostbusters and a bunch of other great comedies. This was Jason Reitman's debut, and it follows a big tobacco lobbyist, and Aaron Eckhart plays the lead. Really great dark comedy. Check it out.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot he was in that movie.
Yeah.
I feel like that was like post-Dark Knight, right?
Before.
Or before Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Oh. He looked at me like, oh, what an idiot. The look he just gave me, everybody was like, wow, you host
You've just been off with dates today.
You know what? A little off. What was I, 2 years off?
I think you were like 3 years off.
My God, Mr. IMDb over here. You sound like one of our TikTok haters.
I didn't say anything negative.
You're definitely going to unsubscribe from me.
I know, you're just taking it very personally.
All right, let's get back.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Let's get back into Jonah Hill. So we left off in 2010, and now 2011 he came out with a TV series called Alan Gregory. Also came out with The Sitter, which again we talked about a little earlier, where he's basically babysitting two kids the whole time.
Two monster kids.
So again, kind of like Get Him to the Greek, where he's not really flexing his unique comedy. He's just kind of doing the scripted comedy. And then Moneyball was in 2011. So Moneyball was a game changer for Jonah Hill's career. This movie is incredible. It's an excellent script, excellent acting. Even if you're not a baseball fan, it's still a great, great movie because, I mean, even Social Network, most people don't, I think a lot of older people maybe didn't really know what social media was when they saw that movie, but it's still an incredible film.
It only has a little bit of baseball in it. It's all about the back room of the industry, and with this one, the analytical data and how, you know, these guys within the Oakland A's changed the way people ran ball clubs. And, you know, they used analytics and deep statistics to determine who to put on their teams rather than, you know, star players or people who drew a crowd or people who got big numbers. Ultimately, they were like, you know what? Everyone needs to average a good level of quality of play in order to make a great team that can win on this budget.
This is the first time that Jonah Hill, I think, played a real person in a film. And so Peter Brand wasn't even a part of the Oakland A's organization. It was being GM, general managed by Billy Beane, played by Brad Pitt, who is an ex-ball player. And so the general manager, if you're not a baseball fan or sports fan, they're the people who basically get the team together. They're the ones who find the players and sign and get the contracts ready and get the talent. And so the Oakland A's, a very low budget team. They don't make a ton of money, and in the film, for example, they lose a massive offensive weapon in Jason Giambi. And so after Billy Beane, with almost no money, they also lost some other players as well. There's a great scene, I think showcases the entire film so well, is where they're trying to replace one player, all of his statistics, with 3 people who just average pretty close to what he does in terms of like on-base percentage and average and stuff like that. So it just changed the way that teams are built. And this is how the Red Sox in 2004 basically used this entire method and won the World Series in 2004 by building like a Moneyball team. And the Moneyball team building like started here in the Oakland A's.
Moneyball was what the method was called too,
Yeah.
hence the title of the film. And this is a great performance from both Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill, I think he had never done anything close to this. Bennett Miller is an excellent director. He did Foxcatcher as well as Capote. Really, really fantastic director. And when you're working opposite Brad Pitt, he's one of the best alive. So clearly he's going to up his game. And I think that Jonah Hill really held his own. And I'm sure it was a tough role for him because you go from The Sitter to Moneyball. You go from Get Him to the Greek to Moneyball. Like, imagine that. Like, you're just goofing off with Russell Brand, and then you're with one of the best crews alive, making one of the best scripts written this century. You know what I mean? So he held his own, and he brought it this time.
Yeah, and I love the performance. It's like very subtle. It's nothing we'd ever seen him do before. There is no running jokes, no comedy. He just it's a straight up pure dramatic performance. And I think it was a refreshing thing to see someone like Jonah Hill do this. And it obviously put him on the map with directors and other people in Hollywood that, he's actually a great dramatic actor. Wow, he got an Oscar nomination. He was phenomenal in that. He's in a movie with Brad Pitt. Like, wow, this is incredible. This guy isn't just a classic walking joke comedian.
And it's got a great score. It's one of my favorite movies that came out that year. And for sports movies, I know it doesn't have that many sports in it, but it really is one of the best sports movies ever made.
Plus that song by This Is the End, the Mighty Rio Grande.
Yeah.
That song's in the trailer. It's also in the movie
This Will Destroy You.
Yeah, my bad. This Will Destroy You is the name of the band. And the song is the Mighty Rio Grande. But yeah, great soundtrack for this movie. And even if you're not a fan of baseball, it's still a great, great watch. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it before. And then in 2012, Jonah had 3 good movies. The 2 excellent, I think. So he came out with 21 Jump Street, where, again, this is his comedy. He wrote the story. Him and Michael Bacall wrote the story. They came up with the characters. Bacall ended up writing the full screenplay. But, this is something that he poured his passion into, and he used his power now. He's an Oscar nominee. He just worked on this incredible movie with Brad Pitt. Now he has some sway in terms of projects that he wants to get made, and he gets on board with Channing Tatum as well. And it's such a funny, funny movie, and it seems like it spurred this sort of meta comedy genre now where people are kind of just like winking at the camera, poking fun at the fact that it's like a reboot, even though it is a reboot. So the whole concept is making fun of movies and TV shows that are rebooted by being a rebooted movie, making fun of that.
It's great. And who knew Channing Tatum was this funny? Jonah Hill had to convince him to take the role. He rejected it twice. But Jonah Hill was like, come on, this would be perfect for us. And it ended up being a great comedic duo. And even the sequel is great. But 21 Jump Street is a lot of fun. There's some really great bits. Brie Larson's really excellent in it. It's an early role of hers. I really love this film. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's very, very funny. And then 2012 he was also in The Watch, which is a pretty funny movie. It's a Ben Stiller
It's a great cast.
comedy film. It's solid cast. It's just like these dudes who wear jumpsuits and they supposedly fight crime around their neighborhoods in a very funny way. So it's a good time.
It ends up being an alien invasion movie.
Yeah, so he has some good dialogue in this. He's like the lead comedic actor. Like him and Ben Stiller are just kind of going back and forth throughout the entire film. It's pretty funny. And then he also has a small role in Django Unchained. He plays one of the baghead guys at the end on the horses.
Such a great scene.
And I think that Tarantino wanted or like wrote a character for him to be in it more, but he couldn't. Scheduling conflicts, he couldn't do more than just this one scene. Unfortunately, we would have loved to see more of Jonah in this movie. Maybe the character's a little different, but he takes what he gets and he makes the most of it.
Who cut these eye holes? I can't see shit.
Anybody got an extra bag?
It's so fun. It's a great scene.
It really
was
is.
so surprising when you're watching that movie and then halfway through it, you see Jonah Hill's face pop out. Just like I was dying in the theater.
All right, and then 2013, I think these are my 2 favorite Jonah Hill movies that he's been in so far. So in 2013, he came out with This Is the End, and then The Wolf of Wall Street. Now, this is the end is, I think, one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my entire life the first time I watched it. This ensemble cast of just the knocked up crew, and then we also have Craig Robinson thrown into the mix, and so it's just all these dudes who are so funny, just improvising comedy and just riffing and making fun of themselves. This is like another meta film where they're all playing themselves, but they're making fun of themselves at the same time.
Yeah, and Michael Cera, like he's a coke addict, and he slaps Rihanna's ass. He's like, who stole my phone? He's like, so who stole my phone? And
all the cocaine I've wasted on you people.
He's in his pocket the whole time.
I love the Capri Sun scene. He's like, you want a sip? You want a sip? Yeah, honey, thanks. But the whole movie's it's hysterical. They're all making fun of themselves, which is why it's so good. Jonah Hill plays like the pretentious Academy Award nominated actor version of himself.
He plays like he's so nice, it's like unbearable.
Yeah.
Like forced nice.
And I love how he like secretly wants to kill Jay Baruchel's character. And Franco, Seth Rogen, Craig Robinson, everyone is so good in this movie.
I read that Baruchel said that a lot of the arguments that were happening in the movie, like it's real life arguments that like these guys have always had wanted to have with one another. Like people, he said that people were, because they improvised so much and they would get into the scenes. He said that people would get so into it. It's like they're finally getting this off their chest, yelling at the other person. They've been wanting to say this for years.
Must have been very therapeutic.
Yeah, and I think that the whole tongue in cheek of like playing extreme versions of themselves is so great. You could say Seth Rogen's the only one who like plays like normally himself,
because he kind of plays the same character in every movie.
Yeah, Danny McBride is amazing.
The best scene in the movie is when Danny McBride wakes up from the tub and he's just puffing weed smoke out of the tub with his foot sticking out.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up and makes this amazing breakfast for everybody, and everyone's like, "No, he cooked all the food. He's eating all the food." He's like, "What? I woke up and did this for you guys."
The bird.
Danny McBride is so goddamn funny.
Stop coming everywhere. I'll come wherever I want.
Man, this movie kills me. I'm in stitches every time I watch it. In-N-Out truck's gonna be here in 10 minutes.
Damn right, I like porno magazines. I like to read. And then Jonah
like
Hill,
a dump truck in here.
And then Jonah Hill gets raped by the demon, like Rosemary's Baby. Oh my God,
ridiculous.
It's insane.
This movie's it's ridiculous and fun, and I love. I watch it like once a year. It's just every part of my funny bone is hit with this movie.
Yeah, it is really great, and it's these guys just doing what they do best, and that's all. It's like a great stand-up comedian firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. And then The Wolf of Wall Street also came out in 2013. This is easily the best film that Jonah Hill has made. This is probably, you could argue, Martin Scorsese's second best movie this century, behind The Departed. You could say I would see the argument maybe even putting this above The Departed kid.
Wow.
But I think The Wolf of Wall Street, it's kind of like you said, still in pop culture. It's still, people still talk about it. It's really well made. It's very funny. The script is great. The acting's phenomenal. Jonah Hill is amazing, going back and forth with Leo DiCaprio. And I mean, it's such an interesting story. It's so wild. And I know like the content is terrible to look at, on the surface, but again, it's just a movie. I think it gets a lot of bad raps and attacks because like you'll see like, oh, if you're dating a guy and his favorite movie is The Wolf of Wall Street, like it's just a movie. And I think a lot of people, it's the same thing with Fight Club. When you look below the surface, you look at it for the filmmaking quality and just, it's like another Goodfellas kind of film. It's great.
If you tell a story about these people, you have to be honest about it and what they did and said and like what their lives are like, and that's what it is.
Not promoting behavior.
Martin Scorsese is an authentic filmmaker. He's not. That's how he tells the stories, with truth. So that's why the film is the way it is. And I mean, Jordan Belfort lost everything, so things didn't really work out.
He's doing all right now.
He's doing fine, but he lost a lot, and he paid for it. So it's not like a happy ending. But I think that this definitely is one of Scorsese's best movies this century. I definitely agree with you there. And, the character of Donnie was so surprising because you see Jonah Hill show up in the diner when Jordan's having breakfast. Then
you show me a check for $72,000. I quit my job right now. I work for you.
Is that your car outside? What do you do for work?
And is that Trump or Jonah?
I don't know.
You did the Trump thing.
He does that with his hands.
Yeah, I know, but you sounded like Trump.
But he's got the big teeth and these glasses and the hair and the accent. The accent is amazing. And Jonah Hill actually didn't tell anyone about the accent he was doing before filmmaking. And he had been working on the accent for a long time. And he was very nervous about doing it in the first scene because Scorsese had no idea about it. DiCaprio had no idea about it. And, he was afraid that they wouldn't like the accent and he would just have to talk like himself normally. But luckily, Spike Jonze was on set, and obviously he trusts Spike Jonze's opinion because he's an amazing director. And so he tried the accent out on Spike Jonze, say, hey, do you like it? Do you think Scorsese will think it's cool? And then Spike Jonze was like, you got to do it. It's so good. It's perfect. And so Jonah Hill did his accent in the first take. And Scorsese was like, great job. Let's move on.
Made a big deal out of nothing.
Exactly.
But yeah, Donnie's iconic. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, a classic Scorsese character now, like up there with Jimmy Conway. Like
Tommy.
I love Donnie Azoff in this film. So hysterical. The sides, they cured cancer. Yeah. They cost $26,000. $26,000 for sides? Hysterical. So good. But like we said, Jonah steals every goddamn scene he's in this movie. He steals every scene even from Leo.
Wait, what does he go? He's like, how's your wife? He's like, she's still alive.
Yeah, like I married my cousin or something, but whatever.
It's not that weird.
It's not like that. It's not like that. Smoke crack with me, man. Come on.
And like I said, Jonah Hill's improvisation steered the direction of the tone of the film. You know, they got really goofy and really wild because of how much improvisation he was doing in the early scenes. So you can thank Jonah Hill for how rambunctious this film is.
And don't worry, the goldfish survived. It was safe.
Yeah, he spat it right out, I believe.
So don't worry.
Yeah.
The goldfish had a tamer too, like on set, an animal
goldfish tamer.
Yeah, or whatever they call it.
I don't know.
There's a word for
Animal
it. Like,
control expert.
It's like handler. Like
handler. Yeah.
I think
handler.
they had a goldfish handler on set.
I'm sure it lived a long life.
It probably died like 2 days later because they put like tap water in the bowl or something.
Probably had a heart attack. We never had goldfish last a day.
All right. Anyways, 2014, he voiced How to Train Your Dragon 2. He did Snot Loud again. Also did the Lego movie. He plays Green Lantern. He voices that character in that animated film.
Making that animated money.
For real.
It's easy work.
What's that, 3 days?
3 days for $200K? Okay.
Sign me
I
up.
want that job.
And then 2014, he also came out with 22 Jump Street, which is the sequel to the first film. And rather than being in high school, it's basically the same plot in college, and they even make fun of that as well. But, you know, it's not as good as the first one, but it's probably just as funny. And it's like, I think my favorite scene was when he's pretending to be like a Mexican drug dealer. He's like
In the outfit.
He's like, who invited all these gringos? What is a Mumford and Sons concert?
No, the best part is he's dating the girl, and then she invites him to like the event, the dinner event, and he shows up with her, and then Ice Cube shows up, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, and then she's like, "Dad, this is my boyfriend." And then Ice Cube's look at Jonah Hill. And then when Channing Tatum finds out, he starts dancing around the precinct like, he had sex with the captain's daughter. He had sex with his daughter. I was crying in the theater. It's so funny.
Channing is so funny in this movie, too.
Yeah.
Channing's also really funny, and This Is the End, where he plays the gimp of Danny McBride in the post-apocalyptic world. He's like, I love him.
Yeah, this is Channing Tatum. He's my gimp now.
I call him Channing Tatum. So great.
Yeah, guys, I'm a cannibal now.
But Channing's great in 22 Jump Street. My name is Jeff.
It's Jeff.
All right. 2015, he was in True Story, plays Michael Finkel, another real-life character. And this is about somebody, he's writing a book about a murderer, a guy
Serial
who killed
killer.
his entire family,
Yeah.
which is crazy, absolutely insane story. James Franco stars opposite him as the killer in prison.
They produced this together, and it's a good movie. No one really saw it.
Yeah.
And it didn't get a big release, and you know it got a little critical acclaim, but it's nothing special. I think there's a lot of potential. I don't think it's very well directed. Like it's basically directed. I don't think anything memorable about that. They did a good job acting wise though, but I think it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, and then Felicity Jones is in it as well.
Yeah.
I believe so too.
Yeah, she plays his girlfriend or wife.
Then 2016, he was in Hail Caesar, plays a small character, Joe Silverman in the film, but it's still pretty amazing to be working with the Coen Brothers.
Yeah, he just plays a lawyer, and it's a great scene with Scarlett Johansson. He's awesome.
Does it get hard squeezing it like that? It's part of the job. And then he was also in 2016 in Sausage Party, which is such a funny movie. We love that movie.
Yeah, an adult, raunchy, R-rated animated film. So
Yeah,
something a lot of people wanted that.
It was great. And then 2016, he was also in War Dogs. And I actually just saw this for the first time this year. This movie is incredible. It's so funny. It's really great. Miles Teller's awesome. Jonah Hill's character in this, never seen anything like it before. He just made some new character out of another real person, obviously, but like what he did with it, I love so much. Like the tan, the Miami like mafiosa kind of guy, the accent that he does, the laugh. It's really funny.
Yeah, Ephraim is a great character. It's an awesome film. It reminds me a lot of Goodfellas. The way it's portrayed in terms of voiceover and telling the rise to power in this industry and then their fall. Really, really great film. Todd Phillips made it.
Yeah, you can tell he's a huge Scorsese film. This and Joker and everything he's done.
Everyone should be. But this is a really excellent movie. It's one of Todd Phillips' best. I would say it's right below Joker for his best film. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Jonah Hill is just sensational in it. He steals every scene. And it does get pretty dramatic. And he ends up becoming a bit of a villainous character. Although, they both got into the mess. But it's a great film.
Crazy.
Bradley Cooper's awesome, too.
Yeah, Bradley's awesome in that. Now, a film called Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot, which is a really good movie. And, now he's starring opposite another great actor, Joaquin Phoenix, another Oscar winner. So it's incredible to see him working with such tremendously talented people.
And Gus Van Sant.
Yeah, and Gus Van Sant directed the film, you're right. And he plays this character named Donnie. And so basically, Joaquin's character is trying to get sober, and Donnie is a sponsor for him. But this is a very dramatic role for him, very great monologues. There's a really good scene between him and Joaquin where they both get very emotional, and I think it's a devastating performance. And I think Jonah it might be his best dramatic performance in general, not counting like The Wolf of Wall Street, which I think is like more of a comedy performance.
But also for his serious movies, he's decided he wants to play characters who are so different from the last one.
Yeah.
He's not doing like the first 10 years of his career doing the same thing. He's always doing something unique, something different, changing the way he looks. In this case, he's got the beard and long hair.
Looks like Jesus.
Yeah, he plays like this hippie-ish character, and you never seen him like this. And so I think that when he makes dramatic films, he wants to really stretch his acting muscles from now on. This is an early sign of that. After going with Scorsese and doing a great job as Donnie, really wanted to try new things out every time.
And then in 2018, he starred opposite Emma Stone in Maniac, Cary Fukunaga's Netflix original show. And this is one of those early Netflix originals that really went viral. Like, everyone binged the hell out of this. Not counting Stranger Things, obviously. But this one took the world by storm, and I feel like everyone watched it. And it had a very Black Mirror vibe to it. It reminds me of Squid Game now that I've seen Squid Game. It's really cool, but Jonah and Emma are both phenomenal in this. And it seems like an actor's dream to get a role like this because they're playing so many different kinds of characters, so many different storylines, locations, settings. It seems like an incredible production just to be a part of.
Yeah, they're basically test subjects that mentally get put into different environments, settings, and are basically get to live as different kinds of people. And like you said, it had to have been an actor's dream. And they're doing all sorts. Both actors are doing all sorts of things, from accent changes to complete personality changes, and they really did an excellent job. Justin Theroux is really good in this show as well. It's a really bizarre, awesome, crazy miniseries. Jeff, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I love the production too. Cary Fukunaga's. This is why he got Bond. Like a show like this was incredible, and so he's definitely a talented director and visionary for sure. And then 2019, Jonah again voiced Snotlout in How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Also did Green Lantern in the Lego Movie 2, the second part. It's a funny title. And then 2019, he was in The Beach Bum. Not a huge character. He plays Lewis, but his accent in this is crazy. It's like, I couldn't tell if it was like Louisiana or like deep South Florida what he was doing.
I think it's Florida.
Yeah.
But it could be the other one. But he's great in the small amount of screen time he has. And this is a really crazy, weird harmony Korean movie like all of his other films.
Him and McConaughey are literally just on a golf course, just like holding each other's balls. It's
so strange.
It's pretty ridiculous. I bet you they improvised that too. And then he was in Curb Your Enthusiasm in 2020. And then right now, he just finished, obviously, Don't Look Up, Adam McKay's next film, which has one of the best casts we've ever seen in a movie before. He's back working with Leo. Timothy Chalamet's in this. Jennifer Lawrence. Meryl Streep plays the president. He seems like he plays the president's like assistant in the film. And I can't wait to see this movie. It comes out at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, it will be coming out for a holiday season. It looks amazing. It'll definitely be an Oscar contender. And it's just a stat cast. And Adam McKay's one of my favorite American writer-directors working today. He's really awesome. I think Vice was one of the best movies of the last few years. Very underrated because it didn't win anything, but Don't Look Up looks awesome. And also, Jonah Hill also directed and wrote mid-90s.
Oh, yeah, so in 2018.
Yeah, which is a coming-of-age film about a young skateboarder who's dealing with an abusive older brother. It's a great, great little film. Check it out. And, he clearly probably soaked up everything he could from the great directors he worked with, from Scorsese to Bennett Miller, to Todd Phillips. These are all amazing directors, the Coen brothers. So Gus Van Sant, I'm sure he was very excited to do something on his own. He knocked it out of the park for a debut.
Yeah, it's a great first film. I love how he shot it, 16 millimeter. Love the look, the aesthetic, the calmness of the film, and the pacing. He just takes his time with it. And it's just it's like a side of Los Angeles that most people don't see in movies. So I think that he really tapped into something super creative, and I think he did a tremendous job with it.
Yeah, 100%. Want to do some Jonah Hill trivia?
I would love to, Anthony.
All right, let's do it. Okay. In Maniac, the many bonsai trees present both inside and outside the ULP laboratories are representative of the many aberrized realities within our minds, as they, in turn, are little worlds their own. In the movie War Dogs, the real Ephraim Diveroli declined to meet with Jonah Hill before production. Jonah Hill said, "I'm used to it. If a person is aggressively against me playing them, it's probably a good sign."
For 3 consecutive years, Jonah Hill appeared in a movie that was nominated for the Best Picture at the Academy Awards: Moneyball in 2011, Django Unchained in 2012, and The Wolf of Wall Street in 2013.
For the movie War Dogs, Jonah Hill gained 44 pounds to play the role of Ephraim Diveroli.
Jonah Hill's top 5 favorite films are Rushmore, The Big Lebowski, Boogie Nights, Back to the Future, and Goodfellas. Love his taste in music and movies.
Cool list. In War Dogs, at the time that she got the role, Ana de Armas actually did not speak any English at all and had to learn her lines phonetically. This means she heard someone else speak the lines to her in English, and she just copied what they said out loud. In This Is the End, director Evan Goldberg created a game for himself during filming. The goal of the game was to get as many cast members as possible to say, "No, I can't do that," or get them to refuse to do something. According to Goldberg, the only people he was not able to break were James Franco and Seth Rogen.
He also couldn't break Michael Cera on Superbad.
Oh, yeah?
He couldn't make him break character.
In This Is the End, Seth Rogen said that he was shocked by how much the actors would actually insult each other. According to him, Jonah Hill and James Franco in particular seemed to really go at each other the hardest. At one point, he even felt like he had to intervene and remind them that they are actually friends in real life. In This Is the End, Michael Cera actually did slap Rihanna's butt in real life. What happened was he was trying to pretend the slap and faking the motion, stopping right before hitting her, but as a result, it never looked real. So Michael Cera asked Rihanna if he could actually slap her butt for real. She said yes, but on the condition that she would be allowed to really smack him across the face each time he did it. In the movie Moneyball, when Chris Pratt auditioned for the role of Scott Hatterberg, he was told he was too fat for the role. Pratt decided to lose weight before the role was cast, and he would say he would check maybe once a week with the producers to see if they had cast someone yet. Eventually, he kept working out and finally got in good enough shape that he took a picture of himself and sent it to his agent. After the producers saw this new photo, they gave him the role. For the movie Moneyball, the filmmakers turned Dodger Stadium into 8 different ballparks during the film. The movie didn't have that much money to shoot with, so they had to dress the stadium to make it look like the other stadiums for the film.
All right, so that wraps our episode on Jonah Hill. So thanks so much to everybody tuning in. Keep your eyes out for our masterclass coming out. Again, thank you so much to everyone who's a patron. You are now paying our bills. We are both full-time on the show, so we are in your debt for sure. Really appreciate you. I'm leaving my job on Wednesday, so it's pretty surreal after all this work. So it's pretty incredible. And
One more day.
2 more days, because this comes out on Monday.
Oh, yeah, never
So
mind.
Wednesday will be my last day.
2 more days.
So the next episode you listen to after this on Thursday,
You'll be
the
a free
4th,
man.
I'll be a free man, so to speak, like you, apparently free.
Nice Matrix quote.
And yeah, thanks everybody. Really appreciate you all tuning in around the world. It's all because of you.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Find us on all audio streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to check out one of these other videos right here for more content on our favorite films and breaking down all kinds of movie content. Thanks so much.